Congressman Case.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Secretary. It's been a little over 8 months since the incredibly tragic Maui wildfires, some of the worst in our country's history. And I want to start by thanking the Department of Homeland Security, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, you personally, as well as Administrator Criswell, Mr. Fenton, and your entire team for the response on Maui, which has been a tremendous response. We have certainly felt that you have been full partners in this recovery. I have Mayor Bisson actually from Maui in the room here, and he wanted me to express his personal appreciation to you as well. You've been in touch with him personally, you've met with him, you've stayed in touch, and so thank you for your response. Also to this subcommittee, including Mr. Joyce here, who visited personally himself to find out what was going on, and this committee and subcommittee responded in part by plussing up our disaster relief fund, which needed to be done in our last supplemental, as well as the actions in the FY 2024 bill. Aside from, I think, many positive areas of progress, the one that is the missing piece is housing, as you well know. The history here is that the fires displaced about 12,000 people. 4,000 of them went into some other form of housing, very unsatisfactory right away, and 8,000 went into hotel rooms themselves. Of that 8,000, we have still today about 2,800 individuals, about 1,100 families. They clearly don't want to be in those hotels anymore, and neither does FEMA. You want to move them out of those hotels. And yet, the very unique circumstances of the Maui housing market make it very difficult for you to follow your kind of standard approach. FEMA has made choices in the past between rehousing and rebuilding. You've chosen rehousing on Maui, and I understand that, but that's not going to be all of the solution here. You actually do need some form of rebuilding to pull this off over time. It's not going to really do the job. The federal delegation, the Hawaii delegation, the state of Hawaii, Mr. Bisson and the county have all asked FEMA to come off of the rehousing exclusively solution here and instead move to the actual construction of at least some temporary transitional housing on land that the state of Hawaii is making available to you to do that. Either the actual housing itself, which would be transitional, or at least the infrastructure for that housing so that other people can take care of it and put in about 1,000 units that are desperately needed to cover a gap in the housing availability. And that gap is caused not only by the shortage of housing on Maui in general, but by the fact that there are many people that are being housed in hotels and otherwise that are not eligible for FEMA housing right now. They've been disqualified for many reasons. And so there's two solutions here. The rehousing exclusively is not going to work. The rebuilding has to happen in some way, shape, or form. Some combination of rebuilding, transitional housing, and or the exercise of your waiver authority to allow the people that are being disqualified from rehousing to actually get into that rehousing market. I think this would be good all around. You certainly are spending a heck of a lot of money that you don't need to be spending on some of these housing options that you've pursued in again, a very tight market. So what can you tell us about your thoughts in terms of the Maui wildfire overall? And again, I say this in the context of sincere appreciation for your efforts.
Congressman, thank you very much for recognizing the extraordinary work of FEMA in close partnership with state and local officials. You correctly described the housing challenge following the tragic fires as extremely complex and difficult. And we are looking at all our options and also are eager to work with Congress to assess what additional authorities FEMA might need. We're working across the administration, not just the Department of Homeland Security through FEMA, but also with housing and urban development, with economic experts to understand what is the right solution for the people of Maui, whether rehousing is inadequate and therefore we have to rebuild. The challenges of rebuilding are difficult because of its island status, its unique situation as an extraordinary tourist destination. The pricing of housing is different than many other.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Mr. Secretary. I'm sorry, my time's almost up, so apologies for interrupting you. I commend you on all of those efforts, but we don't have time. The answers are pretty straightforward. You're never going to be able to satisfy this on a strict rehousing approach. There's not enough housing in the overall market. You can't leave people in hotel rooms for another 6 months to a year while you figure this out with the economic experts. Some decision needs to be made on some form of rebuilding and/or the waiver authority that will relieve the pressure on that rebuilding. So I commend that to you. We'll follow up with you personally. But again, thank you very much for your efforts, and we'll stay in touch.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We now recognize Gentleman Mr. Cloud.